Source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers lost at home to Minnesota. They played without LeBron. He was at home with the flu. The Lakers also played without Anthony Davis after the first quarter. AD suffered an eye injury. 30 points for Rui Hachimura in the loss. The Clippers overcame a 26-point deficit in the third quarter to beat Cleveland. The win was number 50 for the Clippers, their first 50-win season since 2017. Paul George scored 23 of his 39 points in the fourth quarter to spark the comeback. Congrats to South Carolina women's basketball coach Dawn Staley. South Carolina beat Iowa to win the NCAA National Championship and cap an undefeated season at 38-0. Third national title for Staley at South Carolina. Tiger Woods is planning to play in the Masters this week. Barring any physical setbacks, the 48-year-old Woods will tee off in the first round on Thursday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you Black.
I don't wanna write this down. I don't wanna tell you how I feel right now. I don't wanna take no time to write this down. I don't wanna tell you how I feel right now. Hey, tomorrow may never come. For you or me, life is not promised. Tomorrow may never show up. For you and me, this life is not promised. I ain't no perfect man, I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. I ain't no perfect man, I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. Put my heart and soul into this song. I hope you feel me.
KBLA Talk 1580. Happy Eclipse. I'm so pleased to have my friend and colleague back on the show. For over 30 years, he's guided elderly families through all of the crazy government regulations that they have to navigate to preserve their hard-earned assets. He helps middle-class families protect those, helps them get government benefits to pay for nursing home care. He is the CEO and founder of the Glendale-based company Nursing Home Solutions and considered one of the nation's preeminent experts in long-term care, elder care. Attorney Zoran Basich, welcome, welcome.
Hey, good morning, and you're too kind.
Happy Eclipse Monday.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I should be happy or worried. But,
You're right. Maybe both.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm always so grateful that the time that I spent co-hosting, a show with you, Basic Family Affairs, a radio show with you. We're talking about elder care, wills, trusts, nursing home care, insurance, because I got to be a little less dumb about these things than I was just from listening to you. And there really is an art in terms of like paperwork and the proverbial ducks in a row. There is an art to growing old, getting older, right?
Yeah, and if you don't do it properly, it can really hurt you in the long run. And, as we get older, money gets tighter, everything gets a little more difficult, and it's really, really critical that we do it right.
Yeah, and people can start, like, you don't have to already be 60, 70, 80 years old. Like, people should be thinking about this stuff at least in their 40s and 50s, right?
Listen, I've got a daughter, 27, and a son, 23, and they're both planning their retirements already because they need to be, because the dollar won't be as valuable 25, 30 years from now, and the question is, how much will things cost? So people should be thinking about their IRAs, 401ks, pension plans, trusts. A small bit of information that most people don't know. If you're 55 or older, you can fund your retirement IRA from work up to about $25,000, give or take, a year for the rest of your work life through 65, 67. So that's a lot of money you can put away and not pay tax on and have for you later if you know to go forward and do that.
Wow. So because at younger years, I think it's several thousand, right? So that means once you get to be 55, it jumps up the amount you can put away.
Yeah, because they're trying to basically give you as much opportunity as possible to get as much money into your savings. And frankly, think about it. For every dollar you put in there, you don't pay tax on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because working with you, I started reading more and more, and most Americans don't have retirement savings. Most families can't even handle a $300 emergency, let alone having money set aside to last forever, which is getting longer as folks live longer, right?
Yeah, and again, who we blame for that is the system. We should be doing a much better job at teaching and educating our younger kids about in finance, about money, about retirement. We should be talking retirement when we start school, and we don't. We don't discuss it. It's kind of one of those taboos that nobody really wants to address. And then one day you go, "How did I get here?"
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, it also, there was a time, at least that's what I've read, when people got pensions if they worked a job. And that's not the case anymore for most jobs. Most people are just going to be on their own. So that's a failure of the system, too, in terms of not creating systems that workers are automatically paying into or automatically beyond Social Security that could actually, keep them solvent through their elder years.
Well, yeah, because we don't know any better. And again, when you're looking at a job, and if you're in your 40s or 30s or 50s, you need to be negotiating that job and its benefits. And one of the questions you need to ask is, hey, how much are you going to put away for my retirement, and how much can I help you put away for my retirement? That should all be part of the plan 30 years down earlier.
Yeah.
So that when you get to that 70, 72, 73-year age, you go, I can breathe,
Yeah. Yeah, but sadly, that's not the reality for most Americans. And I love that you're saying, if you haven't started yet, you have these tools there, and you can start putting away money, especially if you're over 55. You can scrape up 20 grand or something or more. You can put it in an IRA, which protects it from taxes.
That's right. And I know I understand the implication, which is, hey, we just don't have that kind of money available to us to be able to take advantage of it. But you'd be surprised at how creative you can get with a new credit card or a credit card that's halfway decent, where you borrow the money, you take that money, put it into the IRA or the 401k or whatever you want to do, then you pay it off the rest of the year, and then you start again next year. But again, that's only one of many issues. You really want a CPA, and one of the problems with a lot of us is we don't talk to accountants. We don't talk to lawyers. We don't talk to people who could educate us on topics that we really need to be educated on. Now, I am not a big promoter of lawyers, as you well know. I think attorneys can screw up just about anything. But at the end of the day, there's a place for everybody and a role to be played. And if they're decent and they're good at what they do, they should be giving you the kind of advice you need. So having a trust, having a will. There are people out there selling those things all day long, but nobody really understands why they're buying it or why they need it. And frankly, it's critical that we get them into that issue where they understand why we are promoting these things.
Zoran, you said get a CPA, and we've talked about this before, how we're, for some reason, especially as African Americans, but a lot of lower income folks, they just have an aversion to hiring professionals the way that the wealthy do or the upper middle class do. But where would you even start if you were looking for a CPA? Where would you start? A certified public accountant. You go. I'm sorry.
Friends and neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go to my friends. In fact, I remember a woman that we've spoken with many times on the show we used to do. That's a friend of yours who does financial planning.
Marie Deary, yes.
You go to them and start there because that's a proven product. One thing that most people think about when they talk and listen to me, and they go, "Oh, you're just somebody who was born in. You're an attorney. You're white. You're well off." Hey, we came on a boat from Europe, barely had enough food to live off of, and they dumped us in Canada and said, "Here's your new home." So again, I know it's not easy, but if you don't do something now, later on it's going to be a whole lot harder. So, there were no golden spoons in my world. Had I known what I know now, then all of the people around me would be a whole lot better off. But unfortunately, I had to learn it the hard way. Nobody was there to teach me. So if we can teach anybody any time today on any one topic, we will be ahead of the game for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's right. I wish I had known what I know now when I first came to Los Angeles. But, we're sharing the knowledge wealth now. If we have attorney Zoran Basich here. If you got a question about your own situation, your will, your trust, your backup plans, your powers of attorney for health care and finance, all of that stuff is on the table. Even your prenup, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. As it is now, if folks are not, putting that money away, many times you said they have less resources as they get older. Well, it's basically people living on their Social Security, whatever savings they have, whatever pension plan they might have. But now we're hearing Republicans say Donald Trump has said he's willing to consider cuts to Social Security. And raising the retirement age, I think is it 67 or 70 now, Zoran, for Social Security. So it
67.
It's 67. Okay, so but given that this is now apparently back on the table as far as possibly cutting Social Security, and we're seeing, there was an excellent article in the LA Times about how many of these unhoused folks that we have in Los Angeles and across the country are elders who got priced out of their homes, apartments, or living quarters. It's probably more critical now than ever that we start some kind of savings or some kind of plan of action for growing older in this country, right?
Absolutely. And the other component to that conversation is healthcare and getting the right healthcare from the right resource and making sure that if you are, in fact, ill, you're getting the care you need from the doctors. Because I've got to tell you, there are double and triple standards out there that are really, they irritate me to no end when I see somebody who is getting less than they should because the person providing the care just doesn't care. It's kind of ironic. So again, it's a very important issue that you line up all those ducks, including who your health care is going to come from, who do you trust, and then do you watch them close enough to make sure that the care you're getting is valuable enough to keep you here and intact.
Yeah, we're talking with Attorney Zoran Basich and you, 800-920-1580. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week, Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, I'm needing a refresh. Ooh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
When you're rolling Charmin Ultra Soft on the party, this is more, so roll it back, everybody. Roll it back. Charmin's irresistibly soft and hella nice. The grip is always soft. It's our party vibe. She's cushioning things so our cheeks feel flat. So what? Everybody wanna touch the sky.
Charmin Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but new Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I do appreciate you, and we're talking with attorney Zoran Basich, who is, he's been in this business for a minute, for a few decades. He's received plaques and proclamations from Tom Bradley, Senator Edward Kennedy, Senator Alan Cranston, and many, many more. For almost a decade, he served as a member of the California State Bar Committee on the Poor and the California State Bar Ad Hoc Committee on the Legal Problems of the Aging. Darvell from Anaheim, you're on with attorney Zoran Basich. Welcome.
Thank you, Dominique. Appreciate it. Attorney Basich, I had a couple of questions. You mentioned getting contributions done to your inside of an IRA, but a lot of people, they recommend Roth IRAs. What are the pros and cons of each? That's the first question. And the second question.
Let's go with the first one, and then we'll let you ask the second one, Darvell.
Sure. With an IRA, you're going to pay tax on that money when you take it out, so you don't pay tax on it now. With a Roth IRA, you pay taxes now, but you don't pay taxes on it later. So it depends on where your earning power is going to be and what you're basically generating in income to determine how high the tax might be. I still find an IRA is a pretty useful tool because you're trying to avoid paying more tax, not wanting to do that because that's the dollars you're going to use later on. So again, 401k and IRAs, a good accountant or a decent CPA will get you through that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Second question is in terms of care for elderly. Long-term care, would you recommend long-term care insurance? And if so, which companies do you recommend?
I would not, first and foremost, because most of those long-term care policies have disappeared from California. They're pretty much almost gone like the wind. But you don't need them. Medi-Cal is in play. Medi-Cal's doing a great job, and now they've loosened the rules on benefits. So you can get Medi-Cal now. You can have assets. You can own the property. You can have a home. The only thing they're looking at now is your income. And if you're a couple, you can keep the income for the healthy spouse and still get the $15,000 to $20,000 a month in nursing home care paid for by Medi-Cal for as long as they need it. So
Now,
again,
and we're talking about a special Medi-Cal, Darvel, which is long-term care Medi-Cal. People think of Medi-Cal and they think of, medically needy, but there's a different section of Medi-Cal called long-term care Medi-Cal. That's what you're talking about, right? Right, Attorney Basic?
Yes, and you know what? It's a good thing you're around because that's why you keep me on the straight and narrow. I appreciate that. Yeah, really what we're talking about is a benefit that's available to everybody. You don't have to get into debt to the tune of about $12,000 to $15,000 a month, and it's here to stay. So if you don't know more about that and want to know more, feel free to call our office or call the Medi-Cal people and get some answers because you can own a house, you can have whatever you want as long as it's not income. Income is the only thing they're looking at.
So there's this myth that there used to be a myth that we have to spend down our money to be able to qualify for that long-term care Medi-Cal, but that's a myth and it's not true. One thing, though, that I've learned from working with you, though, Zoran, that if you are going to apply for long-term care Medi-Cal, which pays for nursing home care, it pays for that, that care that your elders may need, that you may want to get help. You may want to call Zoran or somebody to fill out the application because, people, you can get turned down. And if you don't know what you're doing, and so it's definitely going to be worth it. Their number for Zoran is 800-773-6467, 800-773-6467, or you can go to nhscare.com, nhscare.com. So, Zoran, are you saying in most cases it's going to be a waste of money for us to get that long-term care insurance?
Absolutely. And you don't need it, and it won't cover as much as long-term care Medi-Cal will. And frankly, they've made the Medi-Cal program much easier to apply for, so you don't really need – you're only going to need someone like myself if you've got a couple and you've got income. So let's say you worked for the city all your life. Your husband and wife are still intact. The husband is ill, and there's an income of $6,000 a month, $3,000 each from their pension plans. You can take steps to keep all of that with the healthy spouse mom and get dad all the care he needs for as long as he needs it. So in the old days, it was really tough to do. You needed people that were skilled to do it. Nowadays, it's a whole lot more straightforward. Not simple, but certainly straightforward.
One thing that I hear a lot, Darvel, though, and maybe you can address this, that's for nursing home care, which is, a high level of care. None of these programs really pay for like assisted living, right? Or in-home care.
Almost none of them pay in-home care. There are programs now in California that will pay assisted living, but they're not still defined well enough, and there aren't enough of them to take up the load that's been placed on them. So the answer is most of us will end up in a hospital because there's something that happened and we need a crisis intervention. Once that's done, there's a period of time where you're going to need care just to get you through the process. After that, you're looking at probably assisted living, and by then we may really have more programs in play for all of us to utilize. But right now, they're just underfunded and understaffed.
Does that answer your question, Darvel, or you got a follow-up?
I do have a follow-up, but that was a great point, Dominique, about the I'm glad you brought that up about the home care, because if I wish I had that with my mom. I ended up spending about $78,000 over 3.5 years when we put her into a assisted living facility. But I wish I would have known about the long-term care medical or some kind of way to get some income to help the family afford that, because it ended up getting very expensive. Like I said, $78,000.
Yeah, it's a section of Medi-Cal. So Medi-Cal has health benefits for people that are low income. It also has a separate section of Medi-Cal, which is Medicare if you're in a Medicaid if you're in a different state, Medi-Cal in California, that will pay for nursing home care. But they don't pay for assisted living, so I don't know if that would have been able to help you. And they don't necessarily pay for in-home care. Go ahead with your follow-up, though, Darvell.
So that was going to be my follow-up is what type of sources are available for assisted living facilities if you don't qualify for Medi-Cal, not the long-term care but Medi-Cal, but regular Medi-Cal or Medicaid.
There's a thing called IHSS, In-Home Support Services, and what they do is they will allow you to hire somebody to help mom or dad at home that are not skilled but can actually just provide to kind of help you lift them, help make sure they walk to the bathroom, help bathe. That's called IHSS, In-Home Support Services, and that is available, and that is done through a means test to see how much you have in assets and stuff. But that's been around for about 20 years. So you might want to take a look at that program if you're still dealing with these issues.
But that's something that will only it's only going to benefit you if you have if you are on the lower income spectrum, unlike Medi-Cal, long-term care Medi-Cal, which middle-class families could also take advantage of.
Correct.
IHSS.ca.gov, Darvin, IHSS.ca.gov.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Basich. Thank you, Dominique. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. These things, they get confusing, and I know people, it's a lot to juggle, but there are steps you have to take, and, we're 2 minutes out from news, traffic, and sports, so let's talk about something real simple. Medi-Cal and Medicare are not the same. Medi-Cal and Medicaid are the same. But Medicare is something you actually do have to sign up for, right? Or you can get penalized.
Correct. You want to make sure with your Medicare benefits that you get those in play, and they are different from Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal will pick up all the loose ends and all the skilled care, but Medicare will cover the primary health care that you're looking for.
It's kind of like health insurance, right? Kind of, right. For elders. It's Medicare.gov. Apparently, you got to let them know before you turn 65, or is it 60? Well, you can tell I'm rusty on this stuff, Zoran. Otherwise, when you actually sign up for it, they're going to charge you a penalty.
Yes, that's absolutely true. But you don't have to apply for all of it. You can apply for pieces of it. And therefore get your Medicare Part A or Medicare Part B. And again, it's important to speak to someone who can educate you, but doing this alone without knowing what you're doing can be treacherous.
Well, I guess, we'll talk a little bit more about where they can turn. We know they can always call you. That's a good thing, but there are also some resources we can direct you to. Zoran can be found at 800-773-6467, 800-773-6467. And you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The UN's nuclear watchdog agency is warning of a risk of a major nuclear accident after a drone attack on Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia power plant. A team from the International Atomic Energy Agency was able to visit the Russian-controlled site after the attack, which involved explosions and gunfire. Maryland Governor Wes Moore will visit Capitol Hill this week to discuss funding for reconstructing the Francis Scott Key Bridge. In an appearance on CBS's Face the Nation, the African-American governor said he doesn't know just yet what it will cost to rebuild and reopen the Port of Baltimore. The bridge collapsed after it was hit by a cargo ship late last month. More called for a collective and a bipartisan response to the disaster. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers lost at home to Minnesota. They played without LeBron. He was at home with the flu. The Lakers also played without Anthony Davis after the first quarter. AD suffered an eye injury. 30 points for Rui Hachimura in the loss. The Clippers overcame a 26-point deficit in the third quarter to beat Cleveland. The win was number 50 for the Clippers, their first 50-win season since 2017. Paul George scored 23 of his 39 points in the fourth quarter to spark the comeback. Congrats to South Carolina women's basketball coach Dawn Staley. South Carolina beat Iowa to win the NCAA National Championship and cap an undefeated season at 38-0. Third national title for Staley at South Carolina. Tiger Woods is planning to play in the Masters this week. Barring any physical setbacks, the 48-year-old Woods will tee off in the first round on Thursday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Psst. Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
They said it couldn't be done. They said it was impossible. But mark my words, I did it. With Kohl's. That's right, I got everything I needed for my spring home refresh in one trip. I'm talking Sonoma Goods for Life bedding for 20% off, and Espresso Virtual Plus Deluxe for 30% off, Cuisinart cookware sets for 35% off, and Sonoma Goods for Life decor for 20% off. So if you want to get set for the season and save big, you can do it all at Kohl's. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Espresso and Cuisinart coupons do not apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
We are talking with attorney Zoran Basich. The lawyer is in the house, and you are welcome to come call and get some clarification on something if you're confused. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. So Molly Bell is one of our frequent members of our delegation, is in the chat, and she has some questions, the YouTube chat. She is asking what's the best place for her to keep her documents. She says, after I leave this planet, how will my family find these documents? She's 77.
Good question, and one that we've talked about many, many times. Whatever documents you have generated, you want to make sure there are copies for the family so the family can follow your direction. So if you're doing powers of attorney with healthcare and finance and the trust and documents related to the home you own, all of that should be copied and handed out to the people that are going to participate in your estate plan down the road, and let them know where it is, how to find it. Because if you're sick, in order to make those decisions and make those choices, someone has to know all that. And we have a bad habit of sometimes taking a look at an important document or an insurance policy from an insurance company on our home, and then we put it someplace and don't look at it again for possibly 4, 5, 10 years. If you haven't reviewed your health care plan or your financial plan or your trust in the last 3 to 4 or 5 years, I would urge all of you to go back and take a read through it to see if everything that you thought is the same as it was 4 or 5 years ago, and you feel the same way about the people you liked and who don't, and who has not been true blue, and so on and so forth. So please revisit all of that, and if it needs to be changed, change it now.
Yeah, so, but you're actually advocating giving people copies of some of these policies, or at least our wills or powers of attorney, so they don't have to search for it after we pass?
Yes, or at least let them know where they can find it.
Right.
So that if it's in a safe deposit box, the safe deposit box key will be here, and it'll be with this particular person, and make sure you contact them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then Molly Bell had another great question, which is that she says, people are always calling. They're calling the phone, and we actually have a commercial on right now on the station where it says, wow, these Medicare scammers call me all day long, and I just hang up. She says, my phone rings all day from folk calling to sign me or us up. I don't talk to them. Should I? She says, do younger people get these calls? They ask for me by name, phone number, and even know my address. Is that normal?
Not normal, but it is redundant and often happens to everybody, including myself. But I would tell you that when you're ready to contact anybody, you make the contact, not wait for them to contact you. So take the lead, because then you'll know who you're talking to, because you're the one setting the pace.
Right.
Otherwise,
so you don't consider those folks calling you. If you're going to make a move, you call them and start the business that way. And so she should just keep ignoring those calls?
I would.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing the same thing as Zoran. And this is still Molly Bell, but I love this question. She says, during the Fani Willis trial, there was this controversy about her keeping cash in the house, and her dad said she always keeps cash. And I think that a lot of African Americans, I don't know if it's true for other nationalities, a lot of us have been taught to keep cash. We don't know, when banks might act funny style on us, or when we might need to leave town in the middle of the night like our parents did, fleeing, racism, white supremacy, or just, to be prepared. And I guess the question is, is that a good idea?
Absolutely. I think and my experience is most everybody I've ever run into, no matter what color, no matter what race, have a habit of keeping a shoebox full of some amount of cash for an emergency or for a possible problem. I think it's a great idea. If you can add to that box slowly, I would do that, because things could go sideways and the banks could have a problem, or there could be problems that just tie your money up. And you're going to want that cash available and somewhere where you can get to it and it's safe.
I mean, even sometimes when an earthquake hits, the electricity off, you don't know. That means the ATMs are off. So you might need to have some cash handy. Kwamel Allah in the chat says, don't talk to anyone who wants to put you on Medicare Advantage. That is not true Medicare, but insurance that you have to pay for. Do you agree with that statement, Attorney Basic?
Absolutely. I think it's a very bad idea. You got to do your homework to make sure that you're getting the right Medicare policy for your particular needs. And there are a lot of people selling a lot of everything.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of things we often touch on but can never talk about enough, you're not a big fan of reverse mortgages, which is somewhere people sometimes turn to when they're trying to pay those mounting medical bills or nursing home assisted living bills, but it's not your first choice.
No, I actually don't. I don't like them. There's only a very limited potential use for them. Otherwise, I think they're very costly. I think they make a lot of money for everybody but the person who needs the benefit. So again, I'd be really cautious with that. It would be my last choice if I had to make a choice.
Yeah, I mean, classically, you always say if you want to, sell your home and then buy a duplex where you can rent out the top to someone, or the top probably because you don't want to be navigating stairs or something like that, would make more sense than getting a reverse mortgage and erasing that generational wealth or whatever wealth you may have, dwindling to nothing. And there's always, most of these policies have fine print where they could actually take your house.
Well, they can and do. And if you don't pay the taxes, if you don't pay what's due on the house on any regular basis, or you move out of there because you're in a nursing home, they're able to come forward and come back and ask for the money that they've loaned, plus interest and penalties. So no, the point you were making was, if you can sell your home rather than get a reverse mortgage and use those dollars to buy a duplex or a triplex, then you can live there and have someone else help pay the mortgage, and you're that much better off without being any more in debt. So it's something worth talking to your realtor about or to your friends. Again, there are lots of people doing creative things. Get into that conversation. Create a club maybe, or a group of friends that meet every couple of weeks over lunch someplace and talk about how you can better everybody's situation.
A little collective action, huh, Zoran? Some collective action is always a good idea. We briefly mentioned powers of attorney for healthcare and finance. Would you like to explain what those are?
Sure. You want some tool that permits your loved one to be able to be decided upon by you or someone in the family who can make choices. Those are only given to you if the person who needs the help has already signed off on a power of attorney for healthcare or power of attorney for finance. Those are not, they don't come as a complete package. You have to do two different documents. They should cost nothing. They're readily available. Stationery stores sell them for about $5. We give away the healthcare powers. We get them from the state of California. Again, the important tool there is that they're signed, notarized, documented, so that when you, in fact, have a problem, you fall down, break a hip, or you hit your head and you're out for a couple of days, someone can step in and go, yes, we'd like to do this. No, we don't want to do that. No, that's not a good idea. It's critical that you have those people in place. The other thing that's important is you've got to pick who it is you're going to give that power to and make sure you give it to them. Because if they don't have it, don't know about it, they can't step up and
It's
do the job
not going to help
need.
you. Yeah, I was talking to a
Right.
friend who's, in the octogenarian club, and she was saying that she and her husband assumed that they already have healthcare power of attorney, meaning because they're married, they assume that the doctors, nurses, hospitals are going to defer to the husband or wife when a crisis occurs, but that's not true, right? If you don't have that paperwork filled out saying this person can make decisions for me when I'm incapacitated, the hospital could make a different decision.
Oh, they will make a different decision. So you absolutely cannot rely on the idea that you're married and therefore you have some authority. Because otherwise, think about it this way. If you don't like your husband or wife and you're married to them and you could actually get that authority, everybody would be putting them in nursing homes and locking them up without any tools that permitted them to do that. It'd be cheaper than a divorce.
Right.
You can't lose your sense of humor. At some point, if you don't see the humor in that, then you're really in trouble.
I mean, that's the famous case we always talk about, the actor Gary Coleman, who never updated his paperwork, and his former wife, who he hated, was the one that had the decision-making power to take him off of life support because he had not updated his power of attorney for health care. And I guess, the power of attorney for finance is a separate document that says who gets to make financial decisions if you're incapacitated. Right. And if you don't have that, what happens?
Well, then you end up in the conservatorship in the courts. It's very costly.
You can be the broke Britney Spears. That's all bad. 800-920-1580. Sorry, go ahead, Zoran.
No, I'm right here with you.
I was just going to say, if you got a question or commentary, conversation, you trying to clear something up, the attorney is here, Attorney Zoran Basich. He's ready to answer your questions. If not, I got some. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Hey LA, be an eco-friendly hero. Join LADWP's Power Savers program and use your smart thermostat to help ease strain on the electric grid during peak electric demand. You'll save electricity while you lower your bill. Plus, as a power saver, you can get up to $185 in prepaid gift cards. Don't have a smart thermostat? No problem. Shop and sign up at ladwp.com/Power Savers program. That's ladwp.com/Power Savers program. To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
Man almighty, we're talking with attorney Zoran Basich. He's an elder care attorney with decades of experience and great results. One thing I want to say before I forget, it wasn't so much on topic, but I know that for my old show, Front Page, you ended up helping a lot of people who do have people who are in nursing homes and they're not getting treated the way they should, whether it's racism or because people think, oh, that person isn't wealthy or whatever the reasons that they're neglected. You've been able to get people results when their loved ones are not being treated medically in an appropriate way inside of a nursing home.
Yeah, we deal with, you're talking about elder abuse.
Yeah.
And what happens a lot, and unfortunately it happens a lot in the Black community, is people are just ignored in a nursing home when they shouldn't be. So the four things that you really want to make sure your listeners are paying attention to is dehydration. One of the problems that happens when you're in a hospital or in a nursing home is you just don't remember to drink. You don't drink. Nobody's helping you with the drinking. If you have dementia, you're going to forget to drink. So water is probably the most important thing that you can do for someone in a facility. Make sure they're drinking enough water so their body can restore whatever injury it's had. Falls. People fall down because they're dehydrated and they get dizzy and they break a hip, and now you've got a bigger problem. So the two or three things that we see all the time deal with issues associated with elderly in a bed for too long and no one paying attention as to what they need, making sure they're turned, making sure that they don't develop the kind of bed sores that can really cause a problem with all kinds of illnesses.
Right, so we want to keep our eyes on our loved ones and check and see if they have the bed sores, if they're too dehydrated, and I know you've said we would prefer if we can choose, we'd prefer a nursing home run by a nonprofit over a for-profit, and we might do spot checks, dropping in at any old time of day or night when we're not expected, to see how folks are being treated.
You've done a great job of learning this stuff. I'm so impressed with your approach. But no, the answer is absolutely. Do not make an appointment, just show up. Please carry a camera with you. If you're there and you see a bed sore, take a picture of it, because a picture speaks to a lot of people, and the person that sees you take that picture will do a much better job of taking care of mom or dad once they realize that maybe someone else is going to complain. So again, being visible, being aware, and being involved is critical.
Yeah, I want to circle back a little bit about what Molly Bell said about the best place to keep documents, because as you know, my mom passed in 2020, and may she rest in peace. And her husband died last year in August, and we did not know that there was a will. We never saw that will until weeks before my mom's husband passed. And, he was getting up there and he was kind of like, oh, well, she left everything to me. And, he wasn't grieving, so we didn't pay any attention to it. Now you find out, 3 years later that there was a will, and you're starting the whole process over again. And it's not easy. It kind of, it made my hair stand on end, because I've done these shows with you over the years, Zoran, and I know better. But still, their house was quite full of things, and it's not something you would easily be able to find anything in. But for some reason, my mom didn't think, let me give my daughter, son, niece, nephew, brother a copy of this.
Well, and that's why you need to start these conversations earlier. When normally we used to do a Christmas show, if you recall.
Yes.
And when you're going to see the family for Christmas or Thanksgiving, it's a really good time to go, hey, by the way, where are we with this? Where are we with that? Do we have a copy of this? And then you've got to be the vigilant one. You've got to make that call every couple of 3 weeks until you get what you need. And then you need to still follow up on it, because not everybody is a good player. Not everybody is honest, and not everybody is what they need to be. And so at the end of the day, a will or a trust is only as good as the day you signed it on. So you can go back and rewrite a will, rewrite a trust, be influenced by the wrong people, talked into things you didn't really mean to do. So the more you're involved with mom and dad, the more you know what's going on, the better off everybody is.
Yeah, we have to ask the questions. I think it would feel a little uncomfortable. Hey, Mom, do you have a will? But I wish I would have done it. Anyway, Shelly Johnson is in the YouTube chat. She says, I've seen signs at the door of skilled nursing facilities prohibiting pictures. Is this legal?
No.
Not legal.
You have the absolute right to take pictures. The reason they put that sign up there is because they don't really want you there to begin with. And if that facility's got that there, I'd start looking for another facility. Because really, what have they got to hide?
Yeah. Apparently a lot. I mean, and here's the thing. I know, we sometimes we don't know any better and we think, okay, mom has bed sores or dad is dehydrated. It's just normal. But a lot of this treatment and neglect, whether it's because the people are poor or whether it's because we're black or whatever, it's not normal and it's not okay. I mean, these folks have, in some cases sued or gotten different kinds of remedies from those facilities for, dereliction of duty.
We see bed sores daily, and it really drives me up the wall because there's no reason why one group of people should be treated the way they are. But the black community in South Los Angeles and the facilities that are basically handling Southern California could do a much better job of making sure these families are getting the care they need. But bottom line is a bed sore is not to be expected. If you're well cared for, if you're turned every couple of hours, if they've got the right kind of mattress there for you, and if they're giving you the kind of treatment you need, that bed sore should be either gotten rid of or never existed to begin with. The problem is, it's just easier not to do anything. And the only people that can change that are you. Complaining. And complaining is really a critical component of getting change made, as we well know.
Well, Tavis always says, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. That's true in our interpersonal relationships, but not when it comes to our nursing homes or our hospital care, right? The squeaky wheel definitely gets the worm or the grease.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, not the
and
worm.
everything else.
Not the worm. Yeah.
No, but if they get up early enough to get the worm and the grease.
You can get it all. But it seems to me that what you're saying is that absolutely makes a difference for the care that your loved one or your even yourself would get.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, it frightens me to think about ending up in a place like that. It scares me to death, and it should scare all of you to death and cause you to be proactive now rather than wait for later.
Yeah. We've got a minute left. Time flies when you're on the radio. Zoran Basich, what do you want to tell us this morning? What's your call to action, our marching orders right now around our getting our paperwork in a row or getting our lives in a row for our elder years?
Be vocal, be visible, and make sure you have friends to support the effort.
Yeah. And that goes whether it's us or whether it's our parents or grandparents that are in these facilities, right?
Absolutely.
You can find Zoran at 800-7-SENIOR. If you're like me and you can't type letters on your phone, then it's 800-773-6467, 800-773-6467, or go to nhscare.com. Zoran, as always, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We talk about generational wealth. Well, one thing we got to do is make sure we don't lose what we have or squander it. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's starting off your week with a jam-packed show for you. My quote today, well, I'm going to Maya Angelou. She's one of my favorites. She says, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, then change your attitude. Don't forget to tap in with me. We are having conversations all day and all weekend on social media. We're at KBLA 1580. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. Please like, follow, and subscribe. And any show you missed, you can catch it in its entirety for free wherever you get your podcasts or on the KBLA 1580 app, which is also free wherever you get your apps. I'm Dominique DiPrima. History is now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, Talking Point Tuesday, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.